Good morning. I'm Dr. Rhoberta Shaler, the Relationship Help Doctor, and I'm so glad to talk to you this morning. I've had so many interactions in my Facebook group, Optimize Life, or my secret group, which if you want to belong to that, just send me an email with your email in it, asking me, like, how do you recover? What happens when you finally realize, you kind of wake up and smell the herbal tea and say, I think things are not as they should be here in a more serious way than I ever considered before. Maybe you've been one of those people who thinks if you're only nicer or quieter or less demanding or more patient or more nurturing, that you can change a person who is a hijackal. And that's my word for the difficult, toxic people in life, the people who have different labels. Many people call them narcissists, sociopaths, borderlines, psychopaths, narcopaths, histrionics. It doesn't matter about the psychological diagnoses because most people are not able to diagnose, nor should they be. But these people have traits and patterns and cycles, and you can clearly see them once you take off the rose-colored glasses and think that you are at fault or that you are responsible for fixing them. Now, not for one moment do I think that you ought not to be self-aware and ask yourself first, what's my contribution to this relationship? By all means, ask that question because that shows that you are a mature adult. However, if you don't step back and look at the traits and patterns and cycles, as I said, and realize that these are coming from another person's need for control and power, then you will stay under that spell and you will not realize that what's actually happening is verbal, emotional abuse and often physical, spiritual, and sexual as well. And if you make excuses for that person over and over and over again, it's time to step back and say, why am I doing that? Why do I justify their behavior? Why do I rationalize their behavior? How about if I just step back and see the behavior? And that's why I'm doing these new retreats. One is in San Diego, one in New York City. The New York City one is in May. And the San Diego one is in June this year. And you can just go to forrelationshiphelp.com/springretreatnyc or springretreatsd and learn all about it. So why would you come? And what is it that you need to know to really understand, to recognize those patterns? Then to realize that takes some time. It's not easy to say, really, I think I've been doing this for a long time. I think about my life, and I was raised by a hijackal, and my father's entire family was a layer of hijackals. My mother was a hijackal. I didn't know that. All I knew is that they were unhappy, that they were miserable, that they were dismissive, that they were competitive with each other and with me, even when I was a small child. And I was an only child. So both of them looking for me to validate them. That's backwards, Your parents are supposed to be validating you. But when you grow up in that environment, you can't know differently. That's all you know. It seems normal. But you can know that, something doesn't feel right, or you compare yourself with the other kids at school, and like I did, and say, well, their houses don't work like my house does. I want to go over to their house. I don't like my house very much. And I was one of the original latchkey kids. And I was actually glad about that because my mother took a year off working to try and be a mother, which she every week said she didn't want to be a mother. And so I said, go back to work, please go back to work. She was so unhappy and it all came my way. It was awful. So I've been there. I understand this. When I went to say this to a professional, this is what's going on, they didn't know what to do with it. That's a long time ago. We've come a long way. But this is why it's my specialty. I had to work it all out. I had to get the help where I could. I had to piece it all together. And that's why I do what I do, make programs for you. Whether that's my Seeing the Cycles program, that home study program you can buy on for relationship help, or is providing these retreats or private sessions or anything in between. So let's talk about the 10 things that you would get if you came to work with me, or that you need to know in order to recover. And I'm going to put them in the frame of why you would come to the retreat or why you would come to work with me. And the number one was, you want to feel good about yourself, about your choices, your future, your skills, your ability to see red flags effectively and from far away, preferably. That's number one. It's about you. You deserve to have a great life. And number two is, you know that being with a hijackal has lasting effects that you must be aware of. You want to deeply understand how that experience has and is still impacting you and your relationships. You know, sometimes when I'm peeling potatoes, I still hear my mother's voice, and it was always there. You're taking too much off the potatoes. Do you think money grows on trees? You know, things like that. You might not think much of that, but that's the way a hijackal parent lives on. And you want to know what to do about that. Number three is, you can't seem to get the nagging, nasty negatives you've heard out of your head that came from the past, like my mother on my shoulder. Or number four, you still blame yourself for many things that you really sadly took too much responsibility for as a child. It wasn't your responsibility. It wasn't your fault. And yet you felt that way. And that's something that you have to recover from. And number five is, you want to move forward, but with a realistic view of yourself, how you think about yourself, a realistic view of what's possible for your life and what you can create in relationships. I know you want that. And after you've had a hijackal in your life, you need to recover. I was working with a couple yesterday. Both of them had previously been married to hijackals, and now they're together. And they were having a big problem, and there were lots of tears. And I said to them, you know, this is a problem. Many people do not believe me. They don't want to believe me when I say that when you leave a hijackal relationship, I'm talking about a partnership, you need at least 2 years and good help to recover before you're ready to go into a relationship. And I totally understood that they'd been so hurt and so damaged by their previous partners that they were just longing for a relationship that felt safe and loving and everything. But because they didn't take the time to heal, they now have the face of the hijackal on each other. And they're expecting each other to behave the way the hijackal in the last relationship did. And you need to heal that. You really do. And number 6, you want to become exceptionally good at clarifying your boundaries, expressing them, and maintaining them, especially in the face of hijackals. But we need to do that with all the people in our lives. Healthy people, mature people have strong, maintained, expressed boundaries. And you need to give yourself permission to do that. And maybe you need to know how or the language. And I want to help you with that. Number 7 is you need to, and you want to, I know you do, have a healthy relationship with yourself and others without the shadow of the hijackal. The shadow of the hijackal is that voice that is always second-guessing yourself, the fear of rejection, the fear of somebody broadsiding you, the fear of being blindsided, the fear of completely being judged and having someone tell you and nag you all the time about what's wrong with you and blame everything on you. So you need to regroup and learn how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, and I want to help you do that. Number 8 is you want to be with a small group, whether you come to New York or San Diego, or you come into a group coaching program, or of course you work with me privately, but you want to be with people who can absolutely and confidentially relate to your experience. This is the moment when you're going to really realize that you are not alone. There are thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are experiencing being marginalized and penalized by a hijackal. And number 9, you want an in-depth personal answers to all your questions. And when you're with me, you can ask them. And I will spend the time to give you those in-depth personal questions once I know you. Like in my groups, I can't really do that. I can give general answers that apply to all hijackals, but I can't answer your personal questions unless we're working together and I know you. And the last reason you would work with me or come to one of the retreats or group coaching is you're ready to feel good and confident and optimistic and certain and peaceful. And you want to be on top of it. You want to know how to be assertive. You want to not have a fear of being aggressive when you just want to be assertive and say what's so for you and set those boundaries. You just want the rest of your life to be fabulous so that you feel good and you have love, respect, and trust and safety in your relationships. You know, as I wrote about in Kaizen for Couples, you have to have honesty, safety, trust, respect, and reliability to have a healthy relationship. And to have a really good, healthy partnership, you have to have equality, reciprocity, and mutuality. And if you haven't experienced those things, it's time. It's time to know how to get those things, how to create those things, and how to ask for those things in your relationships. So you can tell I'm really excited about this. I'm excited about the retreats. Today's the last day to register and get a great discount for the New York retreat. And that's the first weekend in May. And then in June, the second weekend in June, we're going to do it again in San Diego. Small group, just 12 people. Now, if you can't come to either of those places, we have a new group coaching experience for you. So just send me a message, a private message on Facebook, or send me an email to rs@forrelationshiphelp.com if you'd like to be knowing about that, or just subscribe to Tips for Relationships on my website at For Relationship Help. So you can see there's great value for giving yourself the gift. I know it can be difficult. Take time away, take money away, do whatever you have to do. But this is the starting point of the rest of your life in better condition, with better prospects, and feeling so much better about yourself. So I certainly hope that you will consider joining me at one of the retreats, jumping in. And if you're not part of my Facebook group, become part. There's a closed group and a secret group. The closed group is called Optimize Life. You can go there. The secret group, you simply send me a private message with your email and I'll add you to the group. So much for you. I'm so excited. I want you to have the best life possible. And I'm really looking forward to talking with you soon. And if none of those things you can do, have a free consultation. Just go to forrelationshiphelp.com/join, and we'll be talking soon. Talk soon for sure. Hope to see you soon too. Take care.